You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 383 of Podketeers. This week we talk about adventures in collectible merchandise. The announcement of the final character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has made a lot of fans happy with the franchise now represented in the game. Imagineering is making a big change that's affecting many Imagineers. We officially announced the launch of something new. A surprise edition brings a scarier twist to Oogie Boogie Bash. Larry and Mel tell us about their recent trips and more. Remember that you can join the conversation on Instagram, Facebook, or on Twitter. Just search for Podketeers. But we'd like to invite you to join our growing community on Discord. You can find an invite to join in the blog post for this episode at podketeers.com/383. Steamboat Willie is raising money to help support the fight against women's cancers because just like any other decent human being will tell you, cancer sucks. And as part of our fundraising effort, we released a limited edition golden pin with the Steamboat Willie logo. Only 100 of these special edition pins will be available for purchase, and once they sell out, we will not be making any more of this gold variant. So how does the pin tie in? Well, we're donating $5 from every pin sold to City of Hope. Whether you, a friend, or a loved one has suffered from this horrible disease, you know the toll that it takes on them and their families, and this is just our way of trying to put a stop to this. To help, you can purchase a pin by heading over to teamboatwillie.com, and $5 from that purchase will be donated to our fundraising page. Now, if pins aren't your thing and you just want to make a donation, head over to teamboatwillie.com. You'll see the link for Walk for Hope, and you can make a donation. You can also join us as a team member and help us raise money that way. All that information is available on teamboatwillie.com, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We'll be happy to help you out and answer any questions that you might have. And of course, before we kick this podcast off, I can't get this thing started without taking a moment to thank a very special group of people known as the FGP Squad, our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. As part of the FGP Squad family, you get some additional perks like exclusive discount codes for Podketeers gear, early access to merchandise, additional content, and access to our monthly happy hour calls, just to name a few. For more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, we invite you to check out podketeers.com/FGP. And of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. Well, before we get this thing started, I just want to say that if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We appreciate you hanging with us, and we hope that you come back for more. And of course, for all of you that have been hanging with us for some time now, we appreciate you. Thanks for being a part of the Podketeers family. Let's get this thing started. Here is episode 383 of Podketeers. Still helps. We still get it. And every episode, for some reason, sounds like we're all in sync. So it worked somehow.
Yeah.
One of these days, we'll figure out how these microphones work. These microphones work. I don't know. We'll get it. We'll get it down.
One of these fan-jangled majigger things here.
Maybe by like the 500th episode, we'll have some semblance of.
Whoa. Reaching
Something
for
like
the
that.
stars there.
We're not that far away, man.
Yeah, it's only like what 100 and some odd episodes.
120-ish.
Yeah, 118. I think to
something
be
like
exact.
Can only count to 5, sorry.
That's why I became an artist.
That's how many
Education.
fingers Larry has between
No
both
maths.
his hands. If you've never met Larry before,
Exactly.
Well, I don't know about you, but I know last week or recently we had some rain here. Today, I woke up to more rain, completely unexpected. And if there's anything that I've come to realize is that whatever service Android uses for their weather sucks. Because it never says it's raining when it's actually raining outside.
Sad.
So I I don't know what they do, but whatever service the fruit over in Cupertino's using, they always nail it. And so, I could just glance over at an iPhone and just be like, hey, is it raining? And then if it says, yeah, it's raining, then I'll look at the Android, which is my daily device, and I'll be like, hey, is it raining? It's like, nah, bro, next year, you're good.
Dry as a bone.
Go outside and sunbathe.
Right?
Go paint the house. It's fine. No worries.
Right? Don't worry about it. So, got surprised by more rain. Not a happy surprise, but, you live with it. You move on. Wasn't feeling that great the last few days of last week, so it was kind of tough for me. But over the weekend, it was just one of those weekends that I was kind of sluggish and I just wasn't feeling all that well. And I was following your adventures at Disneyland, Mel and Larry, and so I feel like watching you post and watching your adventures helped me not feel so bad over the weekend, considering how I was feeling like Thursday and Friday. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And I want to hear much more about your trip. I know there's some other stuff that I think we want to get to first, but yeah, so it wasn't feeling great. And, you guys know, huge card collector, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I've been collecting cards now, I don't know, 15 years at this point. And, I mean, look, with playing cards especially, there's been this huge, this explosion of companies and creators that make their own playing cards because somewhere along the way, this thing called cardistry became super, big, right? And for those unfamiliar with the term, it's essentially when somebody takes a deck of cards and they perform acrobatics with those cards in their hands, and they perform all sorts of cool tricks and stuff. But cardistry was always super cool to me. I always wanted to learn it. I love card magic, and on top of that, I loved all of the custom designs. So I've been collecting cards for years. So much so that I even created a custom deck called the HC deck that I printed back in 2009. There's 3 or 4 of them because they were fairly expensive to print at the time. It wasn't an easy to come by service, but I did print them with the United States Playing Card Company. I created my own tuck boxes and everything. It's one of those relics from my past that when I found them, I actually didn't go searching for this in particular. They just happened to be in this spot that I was looking for something else in. I was looking for another deck of cards. But when I found them, I was super excited. So Friday, I'll tell you a quick story about that. So Friday, these magician cardistry guys that I've been following for over a decade, the Buck Twins, decided to release version 8 of a deck they call Smoke and Mirrors. And I've been a huge fan of theirs ever since I learned about them. I've purchased a lot of their books. At the time we had these things called DVDs, kids, where you used to learn stuff from. So I have some of their DVDs. I have playing cards. Every single deck I own a few copies of because I would open one, play with it, perform with it, all that stuff, and keep it one sealed for, the collector's sake of it. So after 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, I don't know what it's been. Last time when they released version 7, they said, this is it. We're not releasing Smoke and Mirrors anymore. We're going to move on. We're going to do other stuff, release stuff with other people. Smoke and Mirrors is done. I was like, all right, well, cool. Well, I own Smoke and Mirrors, so I'm cool. I got all 7 versions, happy camper. Week or two ago, I see this post on Instagram. We're releasing version 8 on October 15th, 2021. It's like, what? And it's this super cool metallic blue color. I fell in love with it instantly. And I'm thinking, all right, I got to get this. I set an alarm, and I was ready to go. So for 2 weeks, I'm leading up to this, right? Thursday, I'm not feeling great. And I'm thinking, oh man, I think I'm going to have to go to the doctor tomorrow. I think I need somebody to I got to talk to somebody. And so now I'm afraid because I think I'm not going to be around for the release of these cards. And so I'm trying to make an appointment and everything. And my appointment works out because it was at 10:30. So I could technically be around for the release at 9 o'clock and leave right after. So I was like, perfect. This works out great. And so I get up, I get ready to go to my appointment and stuff, and I'm ready to go on my computer. It's 8:55. I'm sitting there, F5, 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 F5 for like 5 minutes. F5, 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 F5. And so 9 o'clock rolls around. The cards appear on the screen. I'm like, so I'm like ordering my cards, and I'm putting them in the cart and everything. And usually when I order limited edition stuff like this, I always order for my brother as well, because my brother, is also a big fan. He also met Dan and Dave, years ago with me, and so he's familiar with them. I figured he would also enjoy this collector's thing that hasn't been around for almost a decade again, right? Mm-hmm. So I put him in the cart. And there was two versions. There was the standard deck, and then there was like a collector's box edition. So I put like both of them in. I'm checking out. I pre-logged in. Like, oh yeah, this is happening here. And then I'm signing into PayPal, because this is one of the options, right? You just pay through PayPal, and I mean, look, biometrics do not take that long. Like, you blink an eye, and boom, you're logged in. Yeah. Okay. In the time that it took me, okay, to log into PayPal, go back to the shopping cart to finalize the purchase, I got a notification that said, these are out of stock.
Ooh.
Sock to the gut.
In the 15 seconds, tops. I don't even think it was 15 seconds, to be honest with you. In the 15 seconds, or whatever it was that it took me to log into PayPal and go back to my cart, they were gone.
I'm so sorry.
I'm holding back tears. Sorry. They were gone. Oh. And I'm thinking to myself, no. This is not how this was supposed to go. They were in my cart. I don't know if you know how a reservation works. That's what a reservation's for. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm pissed, right? Because I was checking out, and honestly, like, to this day, I'm like 4 days into this, okay? And I'm still salty about it. I know that I've been through things like this with Disney releases, with Haunted Mansion things, with tickets to D23, to events that I've missed out on. And usually within the day, I'm like, all right. And sometimes even at that moment. Like when we were in the queue for like the Hatbox Ghost Pin for the anniversary the last time and everything, as things were refreshing and I knew things were running out, I knew where I was in the queue. I knew that there was a possibility that I wasn't going to get the Hatbox Ghost Pin. I knew that there was a possibility I wasn't going to get this or that. But this one hurt because it was in my cart. It was in my cart, and I was complete purchase. Okay? And as I clicked it, it said they're out of stock. This is at 9:01. All right? It took them 1 minute to sell out.
Dang.
They make like four copies.
Yeah. So like 4 days later, I'm still salty about it. Okay? Because you know what this felt like? This felt like the equivalent of somebody walking up to your shopping cart at the supermarket on Thanksgiving Day after you picked up the last turkey from the freaking freezer, and they take it and they pay for it in another aisle right in front of you.
Sorry.
All right?
I was picturing the Arnold Schwarzenegger jingle all the way.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. Okay, so needless to say, I'm upset. I don't know if you can tell by my tone. I'm a little peeved. So yeah, I didn't get the cards. I'm going to try to figure out what to do. They haven't gone up on eBay yet because technically it was a pre-order. They don't technically start mailing out until November 8th, I think, or the 5th or something like that. So I'm sure that at that point, they'll be all over eBay for the low price of $100 to $200 per deck. And at that point, it looks like I will not be the owner of version 8 of these cards. So fast forward to today, right, when we're recording this episode. And if you guys follow us on Instagram or you're in our Facebook group or on Discord, you know that I've been excited about this Scentsy Haunted Mansion wax warmer thing with the new Haunted Mansion scents that our pal Jill posted, right?
Right.
It's a super nice warmer, And I mean, I have a pretty standard one, but to have one with the hitchhiking ghosts and the dune buggies, and I was like, this is like, it's a nice decor piece, and it's a warmer. This is great. So this morning rolls around, and I mean, I knew when it was going to release. I knew that at 9:30 it was like it was announced that it was 9:30. But then Jill updates it, and she says it's going to be from like 9:30 to 10:30, because I guess they closed down the website, and what they do is they enable a virtual queue similar to what D23 does or Disneyland does for their releases, right? So it takes a while for everything to come back up, which is why it's a span of time versus an exact time for a release. So 9:30 rolls around, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I hope I don't get called into a meeting at work. Sitting there waiting, working on my stuff.
I hope I don't have to be an adult for the next...
Whistling away, to the Haunted Mansion theme that's playing in the background, because I'm going to get me one of these Scentsy warmers. 9:45 rolls around. It's not there. And I'm starting to get worried, because I'm like, oh, man, like 10 o'clock is usually when we have meetings. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Whistling away to the Haunted Mansion music. When I was working, I'm going to get me one of these Scentsy warmers. 9:50 rolls around. Still not on the site. Oh, no. I'm starting to text Jill. I'm all like, hey, so, what's happening with the release? What's happening? When's it going to be available? Because, get a little nervous here. And look, I'm already coming off burned from these playing cards on Friday, right? So now I'm thinking like, man, I'm gonna get burned on this Haunted Mansion Scentsy warmer thing. So I'm trying to stay calm, texting Jill, but she could tell I was frantic. She knows me well enough to know that I was essentially crying underneath that text message. And I'm waiting, and finally, a little past 10 o'clock, it refreshes on my screen. And I'm like, oh, this is it. This is my moment. This is my moment. And so I order it. I had already created my account and everything. I was ready to go. And it was sold out.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding. I actually got it.
Yes!
I'm kidding. I got it.
Dude, high five. Air high five.
Boy.
No, I
Nice.
got it.
Oh.
I was so happy. My order went through, and Jill got the notification. She's like, "Yeah, you got it."
I thought we were
trust
going to
me.
rename the podcast to Taking L's.
I hope not. Yeah, I was super happy. I felt like I needed that W, after taking the L on Friday, especially how badly I feel I got burned. Like, my body needed Neosporin hard on Friday after that burn. So I got the warmer.
Now
I got
you
my
are
order.
burning up that
And
wax.
nice. I will be soon. And then, like minutes after, I got called into a meeting.
Nice. Well, I mean, that
I
worked
know.
out.
I know.
That is
I know.
serendipitous.
So, thankfully, it worked out. I got the warmer. Not sure what I'm going to do about the playing cards. I'm going to keep crying about it at night while everyone's asleep so they don't see me breaking down. I don't know. I might have to give in to the inflated price on eBay for at least one deck so that my collection is complete. Wouldn't you think I'm the boy?
No.
The boy who has not everything.
I'm just picturing Ariel on her computer refreshing, being like, Shell Pal doesn't work. What the?
Well, that's exactly what would have gone down if Ariel was doing the same thing.
Don't ask me how
I
her
can vouch for
laptop's
that.
IP67
Okay.
under 200 meters of water. Don't ask me, but it works.
She's doing everything on a shell phone or something because those are water resistant up to
Exactly.
85 feet.
I
So
am,
she's good.
I am so glad you got that. Oh my gosh. So I was able to snag one, but through Jill. Because I was going to be at work. I don't get good reception. I was like, can I Venmo you? But I'm so excited that you got it too because it is beautiful. And
Right?
yay. It almost makes up for missing stuff from the 50th. Woo.
Yeah. No.
Kind of for me.
But it's
for me.
nice.
It's
No.
cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff for the 50th, but this one, it's funny. There's a lot of warmers that I see that I think would be really nice, even if you don't use it as a warmer. I think a lot of them look really cool. Like this one in particular, I think even if you decided not to use it for that purpose, like I said, it's a really good decor piece. If you have any type of actually, Heather said this on Discord. Heather, a member of the FGP Squad, mentioned she wanted it for her Haunted Mansion section at home.
That's right.
Right? And it's a beautiful piece just to have on display. And no matter which way you turn it, there's always something nice to look at. So
it glows in the dark, right? Isn't it glow in the dark? Do I have that right?
Well, it lights up.
It lights up.
So that's why I'm like,
it lights up.
Oh, that was the hard for me to stay away from it because I like anything that lights up. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do it. But yeah.
Well, that's a lot of people don't know about Scentsy warmers is how they get the heat. Is inside it's just a light bulb.
But now this light bulb.
It's an interesting revelation when you find that out.
Well, they posted a video about it, just a really quick, like 30-second video on their YouTube channel, like advertising it, and I saw it working, and they plugged it in, you saw it glowing, and I mean, I think as I prepare, because I'm trying to figure out what the space is going to look like once I rearrange my office and I'm able to fully set everything up, but like I've been thinking, like, am I going to have sections of stuff? Like, what am I actually going to put up? Like, I know for a fact I want Engineer Mickey somewhere back there. Like, I know I want some Haunted Mansion stuff. I have Funkos. My cousins gave me the Hatbox Ghost in a bottle that they were selling outside of the Haunted Mansion for some time. It's a gorgeous piece. They got me that for my birthday. So, I mean, I have tons of stuff that I can put up. And I'm wondering now if I should just cycle through things, like, especially if we do more live streaming stuff. Like, I keep looking over at the setup that Andrew's creating, and I just keep getting ideas, right? I just keep thinking, like, should I cycle? And, like, 1 month it's like this stuff, the next month it's like this stuff, or kind of theme it, because I have, like, several themed items.
Sure.
So
why not?
I don't know. I'll figure it out when the time comes and the time is appropriate. But, yeah, the Scentsy warmer, super cool. I don't know if it's sold out yet.
It is.
If you're... Oh, it is sold out already?
It is. I checked.
Man.
Yeah.
They have the scent still. The scent's available.
Yeah, they do. They do have the bar.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in
Trying.
getting the bar, or if you want to be on a wait list for the Mansion one, I don't know if they're going to bring it back, but the person to ask would be our friend Jill.
Yeah.
She's VegasMom728 on Instagram. We'll put the link in the blog post for the episode for the product. And that way, at least, you can follow her for any other releases that they have. And again, she might be able to answer whether or not the warmer is going to be making a return. But it's super cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
Or you can buy some confirmed orders on eBay for much more than asking.
I bet.
Well, then, you could also do that.
Yeah, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 on eBay right now.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
And Heyzen, one of your cards is on eBay too.
No. Uh-oh.
Let me guess, at least $100.
So the listing says confirmed order, 6 decks. Current bid, it's starting out $100 for 6.
Nah, I guarantee you that will not stay at 100.
You never
Anyway.
know.
You'll find out next week. No,
Right? You'll find out next week how I got
Tracking.
burned on
Heyzen.
eBay.
Tracking,
taking
taking L's.
on this pack of cards.
Taking the L's on eBay as well.
Taking the L's higher.
Anyway, let's move on. We got some park stuff, obviously, to talk about. Like I said, Mel and Larry were recently in the parks, so we want to catch up with them and talk about some of the things that happened at Oogie Boogie Bash. Before we do, can I just say I'm also super happy about the fact that I announced this over on Instagram. I made sure to post about it because if you've been following the podcast, you know that I am a Kingdom Hearts fan. And there was an announcement for Super Smash Bros. On the Switch that Sora from Kingdom Hearts is making his debut. I'm super excited because Sora is the final character that they are announcing for Super Smash Bros. And that's it. This game, it's
Dang.
done. No more new characters, no more new anything. I don't know how many of you have ever played Smash Bros., whether it was all the way back on the GameCube or at any point on any of the systems.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, when I finally got a Switch, and this was one of the first games that I made sure to purchase because I love Smash back on the old systems. And I wanted to make sure that I had it for this one. And when I got it, with all of the characters that you can get, even unlocking them in the game, you have all your standard Mario characters, Zelda, and I mean, it's so full of amazing characters that I kind of feel this is like the perfect arcade fighting game
Yeah.
because it has a little something for everybody. It's always super challenging. It's got a lot of mini games and story modes and a lot of stuff that you can follow that, I mean, you can invest years into this game and not fully master it. There's other games I think that if you play it enough, like you could port hundreds of hours into Breath of the Wild or Animal Crossing. I could vouch for the fact that I've been on Animal Crossing like way longer than I'm willing to admit. But Smash is awesome, and the
It
fact that
is.
Sora is the final character, man, I'm so happy.
I'm
My
excited to
heart
see.
sang.
Yeah.
Heart sang. Now look, if I open it up, because we talked about this, right? We talked about it on Discord that we were going to open up some game time and we were going to play with people on Discord and everything because we know that there's people that have Mario Kart and all sorts of other games on the Switch that we can play together. If I open it up, I will tell you I suck at this game, but I have fun and I don't even care. I just know that all the characters are there, and the fact that I can wield the Keyblade again is going to be super cool. So I'm happy about that. If we open up like a tournament or something for like Podketeers listeners, I think it would be fun. If it's anything like me voting for the Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland and the March Mayhem in April that we did, then I'll be out in the first round. But hey, I had fun.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
exactly.
That's
Right.
the
You
whole
just press
point.
buttons. You just keep going.
Don't fall off the edge of the thing and have fun.
Yeah,
right?
the end of the thing. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's Super Smash, right? You don't fall off
Exactly.
the edge of the
Right.
thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Don't fall
And then
off
the light
edge.
comes, and then you can go. Then that's as much as I know about Super Smash Bros.
Well, you'll get to know much more now because we'll get to play. I'm in my brain. I have this cool gaming area that I want to set up at Podketeers Studio,
Okay.
and we're gonna have like I don't know, what's the biggest TV they make now? 80 inches.
Oh, you got over 100 inches.
All right, we'll get an over 100-inch TV for us to play on. It's basically playing on a wall now. And so we'll play Super Smash Bros. And we'll have an in-house tournament once it's safe.
Okay.
Nice.
You're on.
Is it ever safe? Those get pretty violent. I'm just.
We're padding.
We're throwing
Yeah, we're-
controllers are across
protective
the
gear.
room.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
come protected. Bring bubble wrap.
It's funny. Okay. Anyway, so much good stuff. Oh, so since we're on the heels of Muppets Haunted Mansion, I don't know if you ever got a chance to see this when it launched, but I was watching SNL on Hulu. I've gotten into the habit of kind of watching the replay, where they're supposed to cut out the more horrible skits. I don't know if they do. I mean,
Sketches.
I kind
You
of
gotta call 'em
enjoy
sketches
or the
or they
sketches.
get mad.
Sorry. Sketches. I guess I never got a chance to finish this episode from earlier in the year, but there was an episode with Keegan-Michael Key, and they did a parody of The Muppet Show. Now, did any of you get a chance to watch this back in May when it launched?
No.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. You brought it up, and I was like, "Oh, there's a new one." And then you showed. We watched it. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah." So yeah, I remember. I happened upon it. I didn't watch it live, but I watched it like the next day.
Oh, okay. So, I think the funniest part of that skit to me was the fact that they were putting Statler and Waldorf in their place.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I think if children saw it, especially if they're fans of the Muppet Show, they are not going to like it. They might need psychiatric help after, but adults might enjoy the skit. If you have Hulu, I thought it was funny. I thought there was some moments in there that were especially stand out. There's a line in there where Keegan Michael Key is yelling at Statler and Waldorf, and he says something along the lines of, "Hey, keep it down. You know, people they paid their money to come watch this dragon and his friends," referring to Kermit the Frog. And now every time I look at Kermit, like, I just think, "Ha, the dragon." So, it has its standout moments. There's some things that I think some people might find a little controversial, especially towards the end of the skit. But overall, you know, if you're a fan of Keegan Michael Key or the Muppets, it might be worth watching. Just look it up on Hulu. It was an episode from back in May. You might enjoy that. Hey, bad news. I know we teased it a little bit that Imagineering is moving some of their offices over to Florida.
Mhm.
I know that a lot of Imagineers are local here to California. There's several buildings that Imagineering works out of, you know, in Glendale near Burbank. And, you know, when I first read the news, or when I first started hearing the rumblings that Imagineering was moving to Florida, I didn't want to believe it, because Imagineering is so rooted here in California that I couldn't think of them actually moving an entire unit that's responsible for so much of what happens at Disney parks out to Florida. And I still don't fully understand the move. I believe that there may be some politics involved in the move, as far as, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and talk about what I don't know. And that's pretty much where I'll leave that one. But as far as Imagineering moving to Florida, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's going to affect anything? I know that there's Imagineers that have decided to not continue with the company because of this move. I mean, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's interesting. It was real surprising when they announced it. I kind of see it. I feel like it's going to be not great for Disneyland itself, because because the Imagineers are so close, currently to Disneyland. They're able to do all those little touches and make little changes here or there. So they might get that at Walt Disney World now, which will be great for them, but it'd be sad for us. And it's also, like you said, it's sad for all of the people that call California their home and are rooted here, and there's no way that they can leave because of family, because of XYZ, but they also love their job being an Imagineer. I can see that tearing a lot of people up, because being an Imagineer is a once in a lifetime opportunity, I'm sure, and it's got to suck if for those people that kind of have to make a choice of stay here and with my family or whatever their ties to California are, or go with this job that I love. And it sucks that people have to make that decision at all. But it's stinky.
Yeah, for sure. I was just curious, did they say, yes, it's a big move, but I wondered, like, did they say how long? Or I guess that's my question, is how long are they going to stay there? Like, would they require coming back?
Yeah. It's they're relocating. So
Right.
the division is moving, in theory, permanently.
Yeah, like Imagineering is not going to exist in Glendale anymore.
Right.
I think the campus will still exist, but who knows what's going to be there.
I mean, we'll just see what happens. I mean, that's the only thing. That's it, pretty much. See what happens. See, what happens from here.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit in the beginning I think there's a lot more questions when we first discussed this about how this is going to play out, kind of like where Melissa is at, where we'll see how this is going. But, initially I just trying to empathize with the Imagineers as people. I think if someone asked
Yeah.
me to relocate my job that I've like built my whole life on, a lot of the Imagineers, I'm assuming, have more than just a passion for it. They literally have dedicated their lives probably to doing this job and been told, yeah, relocate. And some people probably think, well, yeah, for Disney, I'd relocate. But it's different when you've built your roots, your family, and your inspiration really belongs to a park that you can visit fairly easily, being that you live near proximity of Disneyland. So it kind of takes that part away, I think. So just that, relating to that. And the second part is it really what you want to do with your career? There's going to be changes regardless, if they tell you to take in the team there, you don't know how it's going to look and what they really envision. How much is, like Heyzen said, political? How much is business wise? And how much does it kill the spirit of innovation? Because it does, any change can do that, especially when you're talking about Imagineering, I would think. Like the innovation part, to not be able to collaborate with people in the space that you got used to, that maybe inspires you because history itself, other Imagineers went through those same walkways or those same rooms. That's how inspiration's built. I think for me, what worries me is, referring to behind the attraction, the show. I remember there's one episode where they talked about how, there was a time where Imagineering had got gutted before, and it did hurt a lot of Disney when they were developing parks at that time. So it is the Walt Disney World, I believe, but it is kind of, it's a scary thought to think that Disneyland could be a little less magical. I think that's the fear, because we got rides coming up, for example, the revamp to Splash Mountain. I have a lot that I want to see come out of that ride, seeing that I love Princess and the Frog, and it would be a bummer, I hate to say this, if it ends up anything like, I know these are two different things, but comparing it to the celebration of the 50th anniversary at Walt Disney World, it feels like, not to say those are the two same people or the same groups designing it, but if it's anything like that, like they've lost that drive, or not drive, I shouldn't say that last imagination for it because of all these changes happening. It's a bummer because it will reflect. I mean, part of it's making the magic. That's how it's always worked.
Oh man, I mean, you brought up so many good points that I want to continue talking about. I think the one that stands out the most to me is when you talked about the halls of Imagineering.
Yeah.
Knowing Walt was there and knowing that, the icons of Imagineering have all been through those halls. And you're right, it does spark creativity. It does spark. There is what we refer to as Disney magic in those halls, and that innovation, that creativity. There's a lot to be said about where you work and, how you're inspired by your surroundings, and not being in a place where you can feed off of that energy anymore. I mean, it's hard to quantify how much I think it's going to affect the parks, because I think there's a number of things that affect the parks in general. And I think a lot of it right now has to do with budget cuts, a lot of it has to do with the pandemic, and a lot of it just has to do with the fact that there was so much on hold for such a long time that when things began to reopen up, they didn't have a lot of time to put things together the way that they would have wanted.
True.
Right? So I think I want to give them, that credit as well, because you're right. The imagination and everything comes from the same people, right? The ideas, the creativity comes from the same people. But I don't know. The entire move to Florida baffled me when I first found out about it, and I didn't want to believe it. I just thought it was just one of those horrible rumors that somebody came up with on the internet. That's like, oh, we need something to put in the news cycle or something, and they came up with this rumor. And when I started getting more reports and more people started telling me that it was true, and then this last week we saw a longtime Imagineer, Kevin Lively, post on Twitter that he had made the difficult decision that he was going to leave the Disney company instead of relocating to Florida, like you all said, not relocating for family purposes. You're rooted here, right? You're not going to just move your entire family like that. I guess from a business standpoint, it makes sense that you're closer to Florida because you're closer to the other parks as well. The flights to the other parks are closer than flying from here in California. Expansion in the other parks is much more vast than it is here. We're out of space. We're lucky that they found space to create Galaxy's Edge and that they've been able to find some stuff to knock down for things like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. We might get a few things knocked down to expand Avengers Campus in the future. Nothing's been announced. I'm just speculating that one. But from a creative standpoint, the last time that this happened, Imagineers went to work for other companies like Universal. And look what happened. We got the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So if this is happening on a much larger scale, what's going to happen to places like Universal, who at this moment is investing many more dollars into their parks because they're trying to become bigger competition for Disney? Or what's going to happen to places like Knott's Berry Farm when you have, creators coming up with the new version of Berry Tales, a beloved attraction that's been revamped for this generation, which, by the way, looks amazing. I haven't been there, but I've seen the videos of it, and I've seen people going through it, and I've seen the artwork, and it looks amazing. So all that creativity is going to trickle down to these other parks. And recently we started talking about the value that you're getting, especially like through your passes. Think about what it costs to get a pass at some of these other parks. Some people see it as, it's a second tier or second rate park. They're catching up really fast if that's really how you feel. Knott's Berry Farm, I think, is a fantastic place to go. It's got a lot of charm to it. There's a lot of thrill rides compared to Disneyland, especially if you're into roller coasters. And if people from Imagineering begin to go to Knott's Berry Farm and to Universal, I think we're going to start to see even more people abandoning their Disney passes for Universal and Knott's and these other parks that are less expensive, and you get way more out of their standard passes than what you're currently getting, with a Magic Pass. And it hurts to say, I'm not saying that in any way to criticize, the Disney company. I'm just saying that when you look at the value that's being presented, I know that Disney's selling a brand, right? You're buying the exclusivity of that brand. That's what you're paying for. It's no different than paying for something like Gucci or, any of these other expensive brands. You're paying for the brand name. You're paying for the recognition. But there comes a point where people are going to realize this is just as good.
Yeah. And that could be exciting. That's probably a really good silver lining to everything that's been happening. I really think that's going to happen. And I think we're going to see a lot of change, which is good. Because, it'll give Disney competition. And that's healthy. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I guess if you look at it from that direction, yeah, I think as a consumer, that's what we need, right? We need that competition. But I personally think that the competition doesn't have the gap between where people see Disney and where people see parks like Universal now, especially. I think that gap has gotten a lot smaller, especially in the last 5 years. And now, think about it. Super Nintendo World is coming to Universal here. That expansion
I'm
alone,
waiting.
that expansion alone is going to be huge for Universal. The days of the tram ride are over, kids. We're moving on.
It's okay. I just
Now
want to go see some Goombas and stuff.
The days of the tram are over. It's time for go-karts.
Yeah.
Throwing shells at people and...
Whoa.
Isn't that what you do in Mario Kart? You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah,
throw
banana
shells at people?
peels.
Sounded
Banana
really
peels.
violent, like Smash Brothers again. Once again,
That blue shell.
protective to Universal. Bubble wrap.
Well, if you've heard the news that Imagineering is leaving, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. You know, join the conversation over on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just search for Podketeers, but we'd love to have you over on our Discord server. If you're not a member yet, super easy to sign up. All you have to do is head over to the blog post for this episode, podketeers.com/382, or just go to podketeers.com, scroll down a little bit. You'll see the Discord logo. Click on it. You'll get the invite. It'll launch the app and everything. It's a free app to download. Discord, for those that don't know, is essentially a chat app. It gives you the ability to connect with people on a more personal level. If you want to join our community, that's the best way to do it. It's very small, but it's growing, and we love being able to have a conversation with all of you. We talk about all sorts of stuff. We talk about the parks, the food, movies, Disney Plus, tacos, cake, pastries, tacos.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, we have a game section that we want to start building out a little bit more. Tacos. Did I mention tacos? We talk a lot about
Merchandise.
tacos. Oh, yes.
Just a bit.
exactly.
Yeah, just a bit.
So, again, podketeers.com, scroll down. You'll see the Discord invite, or go to the blog post for this episode. We'd love to have you, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on what's happening in the parks.
And whatever kind of your favorite taco, go to podketeers.com/tacos and fill out the form. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to create that URL now.
More work for you. That's what I wanted to do.
That's funny. Hey, speaking of stuff that's happening in the parks, I want to talk about your trip and a couple of changes that we saw pop up. But before we do, I do want to remind you that this episode of Podketeers is brought to you by a fantastic group of people known as the FGP Squad, or as we call them, our podcast, Fairy Godparents, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes possible. If you want to join the FGP Squad family, it's super simple to do it. All you have to do is head over to podketeers.com/FGP for more information. There you will find a list of some of our top contributors, some information about the FGP Squad, a link for Patreon, and more. Of course, you can always reach out to us if you have any additional questions. We'll be happy to help you out, answer anything that we can. But you do get additional access to stuff like the FGP Happy Hour call that we have monthly via Zoom. You get some additional content. You get discounts on Podketeers gear. You get first access to things that we're releasing and more, including... Andrew, actually, I'll let you talk about this one because I know you've been working super hard on this. I'm super proud of what you've been doing. Why don't you let everybody know what's going to be happening?
Yeah. I've been in the kitchen, working hard, sweating, getting it all cooked up, ready for you. I don't know why I went with this, metaphor, but anyway, we've been talked about it before, but Quizneyland is officially coming to the Podketeers feed. First week in November, Thursdays every other week, starting the November 4th. And I think just for a little treat for the FGP, we'll probably throw that on a week early on the Patreon. So FGP will get a little bit of a head start on the questions and the answers. So they'll be able to, they'll get a little treat. Why not?
Yay!
Cool.
Dude, again, I'm super proud of what you've been doing with Quizneyland. When you first pitched it, everything that I envisioned is what Quizneyland has turned out to be. It's super fun. It's super zany. It's super informative. But, if you're one of those people that loves to share information with your friends, listen to Quizneyland. You're going to learn a lot. Again, November 4th will be the official launch of Quizneyland. You're not going to have to sign up for anything else. Don't worry, we got you covered. We're actually going to incorporate it right into the Podketeers feed to make it easier for everyone to find. Every 2 weeks, you'll get a new episode of Quizneyland. We're super excited. FGP Squad will get it early. So you're going to get a chance to hear the pilot episode of Disneyland a little early over on Patreon. That's going to be coming soon. Make sure to look out for that. We got the FGP Happy Hour call coming soon this month. I think we decided we were going to play a board game. We were going to play the Haunted Mansion board game, I think, if I can get it set up. Looks like I got a lot of work to do. I got to find that board game or order another one of the two, because I have no idea where mine is.
Ooh.
Either way, looks like we're playing a board game. So podketeers.com/FGP if you're interested, and for, of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. So, recently, Mel, Larry, you went back to the parks. I want to hear about it. I want to hear, especially if you had a chance to go to the Muppets Haunted Mansion exhibit in the Opera House. But before we talk about that, can we just talk about how now at Oogie Boogie Bash, zombie Captain America's walking around all like...
Right? Oh, he looks so cool, and I missed him by a few dates.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Melissa, I know this is what I was. I mean, not starting a porno. I was like, I was so psyched when I saw you posted onto the Instagram for Podketeers. I was like, is this really happening? I thought at first I thought it wasn't real. I thought like, wow, man, Heyzen went all in on the making this like digital image for that. I was like, that would be so cool, like a what if moment. But then I was like, oh no, this is real. And then just what you said, Melissa, like going into it, like go ahead, give your thoughts. But I thought for you, like, oh, you know how much I would want to rip my phone apart after reading that, because like I just missed it. Oh.
I mean, I see the pictures and I'm like, this is Halloween. This is creepiness. This is what I want to see during Oogie Boogie Bash. Like, this is awesome. I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there. Yay. Little by little. But God, he looks sick. He looks awesome.
Yeah.
And I wish I had seen him.
Yeah, you make a really great point, Mel. The fact that this is something we've been talking about for so long, that they need to up their game to start matching things like Halloween Horror Nights or Not Scary Farm, I feel like this is the gateway to making that happen, right? We've talked about how Hong Kong has the mazes that they do with the Hatter and like things that are much scarier on a larger scale. That's what Disneyland has had to do, and this is one of those moments that really makes you happy that they have a property like Marvel where they can take these risks, and it doesn't. I know how protective they are of their IP, right? I know how protective they are about their characters, how they don't want to change them up too much because you want to protect the integrity of those characters. But having something like What If create something like this that's canon to be able to bring it into the park is awesome.
Yeah.
This was a perfect marriage of an IP to something that was, I love this. But it looks like how you felt is exactly how other people were feeling. Shout out to Chrissy, Adventures in DIY Shop over on Instagram, who left a comment on that video where she said, not gonna lie, I'm upset that they're adding him after so many people have already been to the parties. I really hope they include him next year. So that is the one comment that I think people have been really putting out there, is that why didn't they announce, that this was coming? Maybe this is their way of trying to get people to buy tickets. Maybe they have extra ones. I don't know what it is. I think they've been sold out for some time, so it's not like people can come in. It's a good surprise, but I understand how people would feel if they're like super huge Marvel fans and they didn't get a chance to see this, right?
Now I'm thinking, then can we see like zombie Wanda or zombie Tony Stark? I mean, I'd bring them all out. Just bring them all out. They could do Thriller. I don't care. I just want to see them.
That's
That
good.
would be awesome.
That would be.
Zombie giant wasp.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They already have a perfect tie-in, because if they have Monsters After Dark, they could incorporate the story that Avengers Campus is now under quarantine. You start seeing some lights. You start seeing cast members saying, "I'm sorry, we're on lockdown now," and the monsters begin to trickle out of the fortress. The Collector. And all of a sudden you have, like you said, Zombie Wanda, Zombie Tony just walking around because they're invading Avengers Campus. And now you have, this big, awesome Halloween experience with a lot of, spookier, scarier characters that, is meant for a more adult audience. And so if you see parents coming in, you warn them at several places. Don't go to Avengers Campus. As you're scanning your ticket, there will be a zombie show. There will be something. Do not take your children if they are prone to get scared. As they walk by, you have signs. As people are walking in, if they have a stroller, hello, remember this will be a restricted area. Zombies will be appearing if your children, blah, blah, blah. You post it. And, of course, you're always going to have those people that are like, you didn't tell us anything. But then you just point up to the sign and be like, read the sign, punk.
Right here.
And then you're good. But I'm glad that they added it. I'm super psyched. This is definitely one of those things that would make me want to purchase a ticket for Oogie Boogie Bash alone. Just to be able to do it. I know all the experiences that you've had and you've talked about make it worth it already, but seeing Zombie Avengers, that's dope. I want that.
Yeah.
I need that in my life.
Yeah, but we got to see, there's the parade and there's the tree trails. And exactly, and Captain Marvel was there, and it was, it was.
Look, I know I've been a little hard on Carol, but
there you go.
After that
She
video,
you on the Quinjet, man.
After that video, who could be mad at her?
Aww.
We're besties now.
She's got a lot to lift. I don't know. What if it kind of made me feel like they wanted her as a main character for the future? A lot of those episodes she popped up in. They're different realms, but
wasn't that technically the case for her film as well? That was the purpose, right?
True.
I almost feel like, and I feel like I read this somewhere before. I don't think I'm actually coming up with this. I feel like I read this somewhere that when they were filming Endgame, that she should have been more powerful, but last minute they decided to rescind the story. They took her out and they came up with some story, and she didn't defeat Thanos the way that was originally planned, probably to not undermine what they were going to be doing with Wanda and Doctor Strange and going into the next phase. I don't know. I feel like I read that somewhere. If I'm making it up, yay me. But I feel like I heard that or read that somewhere at some point, and it's just kind of popping into my head. But anyway, awesome. There's a couple of videos floating around on Instagram. I'll see if I can repost one because, man, it looks good. It looks good. It looks super good.
Do you think we'll ever have full-blown scary characters roaming around not Scary Farm?
No.
Or
No. One can dream.
There goes my dream.
No, look, honestly, I would love it if they did that.
Yeah.
And I think if they did something like this, like we were describing a moment ago, with all of the Avengers, they pulled the What If zombie storyline and they brought it to Avengers Campus, I think they would have to execute it in a way that, I know I kind of said it, read the sign, punk and everything, but Disney is really conscious of the fact that there's a lot of children in the parks, right? So they wouldn't ever do something that's going to compromise how those children are feeling, because cast members are about bringing the magic, not the crying, right? And when you go to something like Halloween Horror Nights or Not Scary Farm, you're signing up for it on purpose. That's what you're going for. Do I want to see more stuff like that? Yes. Do I think there's a place for them to do it? Absolutely. Do I think it's ever going to be just roaming in the parks? Yeah, it's highly unlikely at a Horror Nights level. But I still think that they could get away with an experience like that at stage 17 or something. You know,
Oh, yeah.
if they enclose it where it's a maze or something, I think they could totally get away with it because then you know it's adults only. You have to go through a door where you are warned specifically. You're going to get scared. This is not for the lighthearted. Like, this is not fairy tale Fantasyland happy ending.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
like, if you agree to it, then great. But do I think we'll ever see it in the parks? As much as I would love it, I think it's gonna be difficult for them to pull something like that off with so many children running around.
Yeah, there's wishful thinking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm there with you. I'm there with you. So back to your trips.
yeah.
How was the trip? You were both back at Disneyland this last weekend. How did it go?
Pretty busy. It was pretty busy. I actually just wanted to go and just get atmosphere and just take it in. And walking around, I realized in some tight spots, even when I was outside, I still wore a mask because it was just no. Some places, but actually, it's funny. For not going on any rides, I was still able to see things that I probably wouldn't have seen last time. Um, it was cool, like having to see mariachis over at Frontierland and actually
Oh.
get to sit down, yeah, and just hear them. And the other week before that, I got to meet Miguel, which is, he's adorable. He's adorable. So if you guys are going to Disneyland anytime soon, go to Frontierland, hang around if you see the mariachi band, stick around, and that's where you're going to see Miguel. Fun stuff.
That's cool.
What's the one indicator that you could tell that the parks are busy?
You can't buy a churro?
Well, no, they had those plenty. Yay.
Okay. You're good, Larry. Don't worry.
Thank God.
Right? Attraction lines.
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion Holiday. That switchback scared me because it went quite a few ways around all the way to Pirates.
Wait, what?
And yeah. Like, I thought it was just Pirates. It's extended queue. No.
What?
Yeah. And
So
I was
social
like, okay.
distancing is officially over. That's what we're saying, right?
Pretty
done?
much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
All right.
And I was like, all right, there's a wall of people. I'm just going to stick over here and just look at the Mark Twain and just soak it up, watch it as it goes by, take it in. I'm just going to enjoy myself, you know. No rules, nothing, just go. And other than that, it wasn't that bad if you were just free roaming and just enjoying yourself. But lines were pretty bad. It broke my heart that Indy was 80, Jungle Cruise was more than an hour, and I haven't seen those since holidays. So it makes me worried for December, you know, like when the holidays start. We were having crowd control, and yeah, that's going to bum a lot of people who aren't familiar. And it was super hot.
Ah, that never helps. Ah.
No,
So positive.
If only it would have rained.
Yeah, could
I
have.
wish.
Could've.
Right, the one
Then everybody went
weekend.
home.
And we get rain today. We got rain the other
Me-
time.
Look, me and the rain, we have a complicated relationship right now on Facebook. Okay, let's not.
But you could mobile order sweets, and that's like one of the coolest things.
Right. That's
No, that's so dangerous.
It is. You take diabetes home.
Oh man.
But no line
Gift that
wait. So I was
keeps on
like,
giving.
hey, I could get a Matterhorn macaroon woo, without waiting in line.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
So bad.
So you
I
have
love
that.
it.
Yeah, for me, the positives, I'll start off with that. You mentioned a little bit there, Hayes, in the beginning. When I did get over to Disneyland, I was lucky enough that the wife was on top of it and reminded me that they did have the Muppets Haunted Mansion display within the area where you go to see the great moments of Mr. Lincoln, right before that queue area. And to give you a little heads up, it is worth it. It's very cool. Lots of props from the movie, specifically speaking. There's Madam, well, Pig Yoda, or how do you say it right?
Pagoda.
Pagoda. Her ball is there, and they have the wallpaper and the door. They use the chair, and they also have some of the displays from the car that they're in when they first roll up, which is pretty cool. And there's a little video you could sit there at Pepe, which is hilarious. I would say sit through it. Totally funny. I did take some video, probably posting it later here in the week or so, just little clips here because I don't want to ruin it for everybody. It's worth the nice walkthrough when you go in there and you just want to catch some AC. And like I mentioned with you guys a little later earlier, I did wander over towards the art side, and in that area I saw like the most expensive painting ever at $19,990, which was Haunted Mansion. Yeah, that was crazy. But that was really beautiful. Not gonna say it wasn't. And then I snagged a shirt, super cool. And then just like Melissa, jumped on the same idea of ordering mobilely at the Jolly Holiday. I ordered the cinnamon bun. That's where I went for my diabetes and the Coke.
Those are good.
Follow it up with a Coke, right? So just went all into. Those were my positives. Now, to flip it a little bit, we're going to keep in with the theme, the mobile order. The only thing that bummed me out earlier in my visit, we went to California Adventure when it was hot, as Melissa mentioned, and it was very impacted, even on the California side, I would say. And we were trying to go to the Lamplight Lounge, the upper tier, which is the walk-up tier, not the actual restaurant. And the cool thing about the app currently, which is something we'll talk about next week, which gives me a little fear, is they're giving this wait-in, check-in line through your app. So it's virtual technically. So you walk up and you get close enough. You have to get close enough, just to give you a heads up. You can check in virtually to be in line. Now, we checked in virtually, which said it would be an hour wait. It passed an hour and went into almost an hour and 45. So you could definitely see that not only was it impacted for crowds, but staffing may have been an issue too. Because even later, we stayed there so late waiting just to get a little bit in there. They were closing up that top tier, which we found out that closes a little earlier. So we got a couple of drinks, but we were still hungry. So we put in a mobile order for the Cocina Hucamonga, those tacos that we all are talking about, right? That was still a wait too. So that the mobile ordering system has its quirks too. But like Melissa nailed it. I stayed to go flash forward back into Disneyland. We stayed just to chill and ambience really because we wanted to see that fireworks show. That was the goal of us going that night, and that's what we did. We just chilled at the Jolly Holiday and waited for fireworks to go off, which was really nice. Got some diabetes on the side. But I do have a bone to pick, which I want to get you guys all your feedback on this. Now, we were just talking about this will tie into it. What are your feelings about them taking away Ghost Galaxy? Maybe I don't know enough about this topic, but that one bugs me because we just talked about, they don't like to give the scares too much, right? I loved Ghost Galaxy. It was one of my favorite rides during the Halloween overlay time. And now it's gone. It's not there. You don't hear all the original Captain noises, right? I literally still use this day, like my stomach's upset. I said, I got a Ghost of Galaxy going on there. No one gets a joke except Rebecca, but you can use that now. If you ever got issues with the stomach, just say you got a Ghost of Galaxy going on. But what are your guys' feelings? Because mine is, I know it was scary, but I loved it. What about you guys?
I honestly think it needed, the technology needed an upgrade because you just saw a lot from the projections, but the outside was my favorite part.
It made it feel like Halloween.
Yes, I didn't realize that they didn't have that. I would have appreciated if it was just something, just so you could see like atmosphere wise. But yeah, if they were to just, spruce it up inside, it could be awesome again. That was it. Other than that, it was fun. And the best segment was like, I always called it the Tron part.
Yes, when it did the grid on the mountain, right? Oh, loved that part.
Yeah, it's I agree. I think it was fun, and I'm not one who likes to be scared, but that one was, a little nervous going on the first time, like, oh, okay, what are they going to do? Somebody going to jump out at me? What are they going to do? No, there's a planet ghost and da-da-da-da. So yeah, I like the change. It's kind of nice to have the little shake up
Right.
here or there, especially, it's kind of a double-edged blade with like, oh, we got to have, people that are coming on vacation, they're going to want to see the classic, but all the annual pass holders, they see Space Mountain every time. So why not throw in Ghost Galaxy? Why not throw in Hyperspace Mountain? Why not throw in Rockin' Space Mountain? Why not throw in, Cooking with the Muppets Space Mountain? I don't know. I'm just, Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what I was
Jump
thinking.
Swedish chef in space in a space suit and he's cooking. You know what? I think maybe for Muppet Space Mountain, when they make that special, we'll get an overlay. I don't know, but I'm all for the Space Mountain overlays. That's my opinion.
We should
Hello
make
and welcome to Muppet Space Mountain. Yay!
armchair idea right there.
Oh my god.
That's
That's funny.
I feel like we kind of answered why earlier, and I think it might just have to do with the fact that so many Imagineers are in the process of thinking whether or not they're going to go to, the new Lake Nona location, or if they're going to quit Imagineering. I could be wrong. That's speculation on my part, but I think that when it comes to doing an overlay, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And granted, something like Ghost Galaxy isn't as difficult as let's say Haunted Mansion Holiday is, but
Right.
there's still a lot of work. But I will agree with you that ambiance on the outside, watching Space Mountain and the lights, the projections and everything, I don't know, maybe going forward they can design, considering so much of it is actual projections, maybe you just you load up one program and boom, it's Ghost Galaxy. And what you were saying, Andrew, for the people that want to come on vacation and they're like, oh, you want to see regular Space Mountain or Hyperspace Mountain or whatever it happens to be, but you also want Ghost Galaxy, do what they do with Monsters After Dark. Shut it down for an hour, reboot the system, and it comes up as Ghost Galaxy for the rest of the evening at dusk, and that you get the best of both worlds. And so the people on vacation even get an additional experience, that wasn't there before. Obviously, something like that takes planning, building the infrastructure for something to swap out that quickly. I don't know how easy it is given the technology and how old it is in that building. But I'm thinking that it's doable because, like I said, we see it with Mission Breakout converting to Monsters After Dark. Monsters After Dark only engages once the park gets dark or once, dusk hits. So I think it's possible. But I think with so many Imagineers on the cusp of having to make this decision, I think that may have played a role in why we're not seeing it this year. Could be wrong, but I don't know. That's what makes sense to me.
If we're gonna have zombies, we could have some Ghost Galaxies. Is what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
Yeah, what you're talking about, Heyzen, is definitely possible with the technology that's out there right now. It's not. I don't think it's a technology issue. I think it's getting the technology in the building issue.
Good point.
And maybe we're gonna redo Tomorrowland, and we'll take care of it then. Like that's ever gonna happen.
Oh, that's a whole nother episode.
With Imagineering leaving, who knows?
Who knows?
Too soon? Yeah, I know.
Ooh, yikes.
But overall, I know you're a lot more comfortable going out now. You're more in tune with the world. For people that are still being cautious, how would you rate the experience overall? Because it looks like from what you're describing, if the line for the mansion was all the way to Pirates, that's quite a hefty line there. And if that's happening right now, you mentioned what it's going to look like later in the year, closer to Christmas and, Thanksgiving when more people are on vacation. What do you think? What would you say? How would you gauge how everything was?
I would say if you're still on the fence, or if you feel like you're comfortable being outside with a mask, you'll find pockets where you could get away from the crowds. But I think if it depends on if you're okay with knowing you're going to be in line for possibly an hour or more, that's where I think you have to decide whether you're okay with that. For me, if it were to be like maybe 30 minutes or less, I'd be okay because I'm not in line with everybody. But um, I would say use that as a gauge for for you how you would feel. Um, I felt comfortable. I mean, I had to wear a mask outside. I did. And that was because I found some gaps where, like, coming out of Fantasyland through Princess Fantasy Fair, it got a little congested there. And then coming into Frontierland. But like I said, you could find gaps where you will be comfortable. Um, Even inside the stores, I didn't feel uncomfortable at all, which is great. Um, I thought there was less people inside there than in lines. So there you go.
Good point.
And you don't have to stay in line while you're purchasing anything, especially in the Emporium. So that's always something to keep in mind too. I love that. I love not being in line in there and just grabbing
Mobile checkout.
yes.
If you're on the side of, the cautious and your comfort level is nowhere near like medium or moderate with your mask on, I would say make a dry run in a weekday afternoon. Make a reservation after you get out of work and then try to go out there and see how you feel about it if you can. Because, we've had another conversation how the calendar has been really tough, and Andrew made a good point earlier when we were talking about this before we were recording about how they opened up dates, and we kind of realized that, like, I think you made the point too, Heyzen, that it may have been more people coming in, less staffing. So I would say for sure try going on a weekday, which I've heard are a lot different. Try going in the afternoon because I'm expecting it'll be a little bit less people there, but it'll be a good amount, and you may be able to sneak on a ride and test your comfort levels there probably because you'll be in a queue for, like Melissa said, 30 60. But the weekend being there, I can vouch with Melissa. The lines for rides were, I was there later past the time Melissa was at, and the Haunted Mansion at after fireworks was at 115 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, insane. And then the Indiana Jones went down to 60, but that's still bad after fireworks. The only things that had low weights were Autopia and Small World. Everything else was pretty packed and impacted by the just people being there on a weekend. I don't know what a Sundays look like. I haven't visited yet on a Sunday in October, but Saturdays on both the ones I've went to all have been definitely wait times. And if you really, like Melissa mentioned too, maybe earlier in the morning might be different, because when I did go earlier in the morning, there was more gaps like she's talking about. But if depending on what you're going there for, I would say right now we are seeing the brunt of busyness, and who knows what the other weekends are going to look like once we get into that Christmas season, which just to be a wait and see. Tough to say.
Yeah, those are good tips. I think it's going to be interesting to see what it's going to look like over the next 4 weeks, especially with those new spots opening up for reservations. That's a whole other topic, I think, that we could talk about. So we'll leave that for next week. I think we're on the longer side of this episode, so we'll talk about the lines. We'll talk about wait times. I don't think we've had an opportunity to talk about Genie Plus and the updates to the attractions that are coming. I think it all ties into what we're talking about, so let's talk about that next week. And I think that's where we'll wrap it up for this week. Any final thoughts on your trip, on anything else that you recommend? Any particular things you can add to the diabetes with now that mobile ordering for sweets is available?
Yeah, try it out.
Definitely. Oh, the Maleficent churro.
Oh, you tried that.
You guys have to try. Whoever is going, I found it at in Town Square, and it is churro and an Oreo goodness had a baby together. That's it.
Oh, nice.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm in. I feel like at some point I'm going to become one of those people where even if I can't go to the park, I'm just gonna go mobile order food and just like walk out with like a lunch pail with like chicken from Plaza Inn, a couple of churros, a Dole Whip, and I don't know, like
Yeah,
it
why
makes
not?
sense. I'm so
Nice.
for it. They need to start doing that, just like a to go from Plaza Inn with additional things from around the park.
Yeah, they missed a big opportunity doing DoorDash from Disneyland when the pandemic was going on.
Man,
Can you imagine? That would have
Oh.
been
who
crazy.
says they can't still do it?
I mean, they can
That's
still,
dangerous,
but
though.
they got to get some more cast members back. If I know anything from all these other restaurants and everything, everybody's orders are taking long enough already.
Yeah.
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 That's true. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. If you have any thoughts on anything that we talked about, we'd love for you to join the conversation. Again, you can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for Podketeers, but we'd love for you to join the community over on Discord. Podketeers.com/383 if you want to snag your invite for Discord. It's free. You just got to click on the link, and it takes you over, and you'll be invited onto our server for that. Oh, also, before we end the podcast, I do want to remind you that Teamboat Willie pins are still on sale. $5 from every pin purchase will be donated to Walk for Hope. We received news that the dollar for dollar match that was happening that we were doing last week has been extended until the end of the month, until the 31st, which is fantastic because we wanted to make our donation for any pins purchased last week. Because if we're donating $5, but if there's a dollar for dollar match, it essentially means that we're donating $10 per pin. It's the equivalent of a $10
Sweet.
donation. And that is thanks to one of the sponsors. I believe it's Brighton Collectibles that's sponsoring the Walk for Hope event that's putting together this match. So that's super generous of them to do that. So if you want to help us out with that, teamboatwillie.com is where you can purchase your pin. This is a limited edition pin. We only made 100 of this gold variant. Once they sell out, we will not make this gold pin again. Each pin is numbered, so you will receive it, numbered on the back of the card that it's on. I'm so happy that the people that have gotten it have given really good feedback on it. They've all enjoyed it. They all love it. Warms my heart because we put a lot into this pin for a really long time. And, the fact that we're tying it in for a really good cause means a lot to us that you guys have helped us out with that. So teamboatwillie.com is where you can get your pin. $5 of every pin will be matched dollar for dollar, so it will equal a $10 donation in the end. We will donate $5, and then all the match happens later on. But yeah, thank you to everyone that's ordered a pin. I may make the donation for the stuff that's already been purchased at this point, just so that I don't forget to add it. When we started our journey for Walk for Hope, we had a goal of raising $1,000, and as of this recording, we are at $560 due to the generosity of so many of you out there listening. Thank you so much for your support. This week, I started working on the graphic that we're going to put up for the people that we are raising money for, in honor of, and in support of. If you donated, please send us the name of the person that you would like to appear on the graphic. It's going to be shared on Instagram. We're going to pin it as part of one of our stories, and the graphic will also appear on teamboatwillie.com. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If you donated and you don't want a name displayed, that's okay. It's not, this is to help us honor whoever you donated in for or in memory of. It's up to you. We've done it before. We've walked around with a sign. It was an honor for us to be able to get a chance to do that in the past, and we figured that since we're not walking this year, since it is a virtual event, we're just going to display that in a slightly different manner. So yeah, that's going to be coming very soon. Anything else? I know I rambled after I said we're ending the podcast for like another 25 minutes. No? Good?
Yep.
All right, that's it. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Let's go. Yes.